This week on the podcast, me and Ben got stuck into two bangers of an album. One was Ben flashing back to him being really snobby about music and the fact that he'd never actually listened to Paramore Riot. Yes. You can hear the boos from people. The other end of people's Spotify's right here. I'm joking. And I listened to, I won't ruin it, but a band called the Barbarians of California. I'll leave it at that, because if you're intrigued by that band name, you should check out the album for sure. And then we had a little chat about the download lineup, what we think of it, whether we'd go, and whether basically if it's too muddy or not. Probably is. Enjoy. Ben.
Hello.
Ben, this is a big one.
Is it?
Oh, it's a big one. I think most people in the world have heard this album that I recommended to you.
Oh, Muggins here. Left behind
amazing.
Again.
Well, I'm sure you're probably going to fill us in anyway on why you were being so snobby about not listening to this or whatever reason you've got behind you. But I asked you to listen to a little band called Paramore, and the album was called Riot, which I think won multiple Grammys and every award going and was played absolutely everywhere. But you apparently have never listened to the album in its entirety. I'm sure you've heard songs, right?
Look at me, I want a Grammy. Oh, fuck off.
Fuck off, Paramore.
I still hate them, shit. No, I think I reckon I knew the first 4 songs.
Okay.
And I love that one. Oh, I've forgotten all the song names. Whoa, whatever makes you that one.
Yeah,
I sort of always loved that song, really.
Yeah,
because that chorus is insane, and it's. I know it's very problematic now, but they have fronted up to that. Fair play to them. So I think we have to let them off.
Is that Misery Business you're talking about?
It, yeah, that chorus is so good. So basically, like we've talked about this before, I was a bit elitist back in the day. But like elitist with terrible taste. I mean, as most elitists, I had shit taste. I was a dickhead. I was a dickhead at school about music, awful taste, just a bad person. But so Paramore were definitely like top of my list of like, this is everything that's wrong with punk. And I hate them.
I nehave had that with Paramore.
No.
I don't know why. I feel like they just slightly fell into like a group that I kind of, I wouldn't have said they were my favourite band, but I definitely listened to this album, thought it was a good album. Yeah. But like they fell into a bit of a like, I'm not offended by them kind of like thing. Like I'd put like All Time Low in there.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really like them or anything. If they were on a download, which we're going to talk about later or something, I'd probably sit and watch them with a beer or whatever. Like I'm not that snobby about it. But I have bands that fall into that for me, which are much more of the like hardcore bands that aren't hardcore.
Right, yeah.
Like the crap
that's more
hardcore.
Like egregious than just trying to be a pop band is.
Yeah, I feel like it's offensive because like, you're just a pop band and like I don't know, they did do a bit of the pretending they're like from the scene or whatever kind of thing, and then everyone found out it was just her or whatever all this bollocks. But like, I feel like they were less. They're quite. It's quite hard to be offended by Paramore, Ben. So well done,
Danny. For the record, I was totally wrong, and I'm totally wrong because I don't feel like that anymore. I don't care anymore. I was totally wrong. I was a dickhead. That's why I wanted to listen to this.
Fair.
And it's really fun, and I knew I'd like it. Because it's just a big fun. It was similar to like Simple Plan. Starting Line.
Starting Line, yeah, just good fun pop.
This is so in my wheelhouse. It's like I must have gone out of my way to be like this. I think this is like unacceptable or whatever. Because it's so in my wheelhouse. It's ridiculous. Like Motion City Soundtrack, one of my favourite bands. Just I like really poppy shit. So to have a beef with this is ludicrous. I'll say
ridiculous.
It now. Yeah. Just what I said, awful person. I'm not. Look.
No, I'm just gonna keep upping. Every time you say you think it was bad, I'm gonna keep telling you how much worse it was than you thinking it being bad. That was not a sentence, but you know what I meant.
This is my rehabilitation, basically. This podcast.
This is therapy.
So yeah, it was a nice listen. Like I said, I think I definitely knew Misery Signals, and in the last few years had been listening.
Misery Signals is a band.
Oh yeah, what's it called?
Misery Business.
What are Misery Signals? Misery Business.
They're like hardcore,
like really scary, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty.
Anyway,
yeah.
The last few years I'd really got into that song, especially. Like I think I always liked it, but was a bit like no. But then because I've stopped caring about that stuff, because I'm better now. I've grown. I've got depth. Yeah, I really like that song. Just just a banger. But yeah, the first four I recognised, I reckon. So it's like there's some big singles there, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. There's like
Um, Let me have a look.
you,
I've got it
the
here.
first song's quite good actually. For a pessimist, I'm pretty optimistic.
Yes, I possibly didn't
That's
know
what you
that
get is a
one.
banger.
Yeah, that's what you get. I often
Hallelujah.
knew.
Hallelujah is just an absolute banger. And then straight
Yes.
into Misery Business.
So that three probably. That's where you get Hallelujah, Misery Business. I feel like that was
Hmm.
probably the singles because I knew those three pretty
Yeah,
well actually.
I think
Um,
those 2, 3, 4 were singles, definitely. And then Crush, Crush, Crush. Two,
yeah,
three, four is why they didn't call it that.
I didn't
It's the
recognise
best
that
bit.
at all, and I
Oh, did you
found that a
not?
bit annoying. I'll be honest, because this is as
Yeah.
much as I say like I've moved on and this is really good. I didn't think it was a perfect album. Like I
There's
love
some
that
filler
first four
songs.
songs are like
Mm.
great, really exciting. And then I thought it got a bit wishy-washy in the middle. It's a bit like over earnest, like pop punk ballads, which I
Bit
just,
rock.
yeah, I
Yeah.
hadn't really got
There's
any time for.
Is that what you'd call that? Because there's other bands that have done that for me, which is like we're like almost like it's just a rock song,
Yeah,
and it doesn't really have anything about like that much. I'm trying to think. Oh, a band that I actually like some songs for, but then when I listen to an album, find too much. Young Guns had a couple of really like were very much like Paramore. Had a couple in each album. You'd be like, if I played you a song, you'd be like, that's a banger.
I
And then
really,
after that, it was that kind of like earnest like
yeah.
rock, like yeah, like Let the Flames Begin is probably the perfect example of that.
Yes, I think was it When It Rains and that sort of
Yeah, they're very
bled
like
into each other.
ballady rock kind of just it's a bit yeah, fake not fake earnest, but I get what you were saying.
Yeah, it
How
didn't
did you
do much
describe it
for
just
me.
then? It was a good
They actually
description.
still had really big choruses, to be fair to them.
Mm.
Like the
Hmm.
songwriting here is
Yeah.
great.
Hmm.
Fair play to them. I think like a big part of it, obviously, and it's always made a big deal of it, it's the fact that she's got a record deal, and it's just a bunch of rotating, revolving guys who all look the
Hmm.
same. It turns out the reason they all look the same is because they've had a pretty solid lineup. Like I've
That and
totally,
some of them have left and come back again.
yeah, but
Like the
I think I
original drummer and
totally like.
bassist are back.
So there's two guys who've been there pretty much, and maybe left for a bit, but have been there
Hmm.
most of it. But I definitely thought it was just her, and it was all kind of a front. I think that was part of my beef. I was like, it's not even a real band. And actually, reading
Yeah.
about them, that's really over-egged. Like she got offered a record deal on her own, and she was
Hmm.
like, "No, I want to do." And they were going to make her a
A
pop
band.
star, and they were like, "No, I
Yeah.
want to try the band first." And it was a band she'd been in since like she was like 14 with the same
Mm.
guys, and they wrote
Hmm.
all the songs. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, they're a lot more of a
It was a
legit
band.
band
Yeah.
than I gave them credit for."
Hmm.
Which is yeah, really unfair from me, really. But that was always kind of the narrative on the punk scene, I think.
It
That,
was.
yeah, that she'd just been kind of groomed for stardom, and then there
Yeah.
was just a bunch of guys that no one would know who they are. Yeah, and it turns out it's not really true. Like, yeah, those guys have been there for most of it. I think, like you said,
Yeah.
they've maybe dipped out at times,
They've
but
chopped and changed, and they've had like the drummer left, and now
yeah,
he's left for like 3 albums in the middle, like after this album, maybe, or the one after. Some Paramore fan will correct me in the comments or whatever, but like left, and then he's back now, and he's the brother of the original guitarist. So it
yeah,
used to be him, the two brothers in the band, and the guy that's currently playing bass, and another guitarist, and they all kind of come in and out. I think the original bassist now back in the band, which is
yeah,
kind of fun. Like that they've kind of it's always been there's probably like 6 lads, and they've always just kind of
yeah,
there'll be 3 of them in and 2 out, and then jump back. It's kind of actually like inadvertently has almost been like a bit of a like jazz kind of vibe with that. Like
yeah.
get this guy back in, he's all right. They've had some cool cover drummers actually.
Have they?
Over the they had Aaron Gillespie for quite Under Oath drummer.
Oh, right, sorry.
Fucking hell, Ben. They're
You're
like
a
one of
drummer.
your favourite bands,
I
Under
don't know
Oath.
a single drummer's name. I can't remember your surname, and it's on the screen.
You don't know the drummer from Under Oath is
He
Aaron
sings,
Gillespie.
right?
Yeah, the
I'm aware
main
of the
like
guy.
not
I don't know his name. Aaron Gillespie
bloody.
sounds like a 90s footballer.
Yeah, he played up front for Leicester.
Yeah, Aaron Gillespie, the singing drummer footballer.
But yeah, he played drums for him for a bit,
That's
and
cool.
they had a couple of other cool people like cover and do some stuff. So they've stayed true to their roots a little bit with some of that
Yeah.
stuff. Well,
But yeah, much more of like a band than I thought, and I really like that. I've always thought she was like fascinating anyway. Like I've kind of
Mm-hmm.
read things about her before, and how she was like fairly evangelical Christian, I think, and has
Mm-hmm.
kind of come out of that as far as I know, and that kind of bled into a lot of the early lyrics. That's why I think she's kind of gone back on a lot of it. But I
Yeah,
respect that.
yeah,
Someone can come out and be like, yeah, that wasn't cool. You know, you're right. She was really young. You're right.
yeah.
You're
And
right.
also,
Dumb shit when you're young. I'm
it's like
aware.
at the time thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
at the time, that was how you felt potentially. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Doesn't
So I've
mean it
got
was
no
right
problem with
or
that.
wrong.
But yeah, in terms of this, like, yeah, like I said, the Ernest ballads, I liked it all, and it's really quick, like short albums.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it
How long's
feels
this
like
album?
fun and brief.
Oh yeah, it's 45 minutes. It's not long.
There was what was with bands at this time being obsessed with Love Cats by The Cure. It's like you had to have a Love Cats ripoff on your album. I can't
Which
even
one's
remember
that?
which song it is. There's one that's just like, oh yeah, there it is. Like they all did it. Blink, Panic made a whole career out of it.
Yeah, Panic is it's the kind of stuff you miss because you're not into. Like I'd heard obviously Love Cats when I was younger or whatever,
Yeah,
but now like I think obviously you listen to the Blink self-titled album. There's a song on there called Always, which is basically a Cure song.
oh my god,
And
yeah, listening to that
the
Blink
joke
album
was
is
that Robert Smith wasn't on that one; he was on a
yeah,
different one, which made no
yeah,
sense. It was like put him on the song that sounds like the
yeah.
Cure.
I Miss You. There
Um,
was loads of Love Cats.
mm,
The problem is they're
yeah,
always just Love Cats rip-offs. Like they'll probably say they're fans of The Cure. It's like, well, listen to their other stuff because
have you never
none of it
heard?
sounds like Love Cats, like
I'll
The
send
Cure.
you. I'll send you one really good one. It was about 50, well, probably longer than that because we're old as shit. But MTV did a like homage thing to the Cure, and
Yeah.
loads of bands played covers of like their songs, and Deftones did one, which was fucking amazing. I can't remember what song it was, but Blink covered "Letter to Elise,"
Oh, really?
and it's fucking great.
Oh,
It's
fair
really
play.
good. It's actually up there. Like it's probably one of not my favorite Blink songs, but like as covers go, it's probably one of my favorite covers. I'll send you it. It's a really
Yeah, do
crap
it.
like recording on YouTube that's like 4 pixels by 4 pixels, but it was like an MTV special kind of thing. And the
Oh, fair
Deftones
play.
one, I can't remember what the Deftones one was, but it was really good as well.
Yeah.
Well worth checking out. Anyway,
They
back
do
to
good
Paramore.
covers, the
I'm
Deftones.
talking absolute rough. Oh,
Um,
always.
I just had images of when they were sorting that night out, all the bands sending their emails in and every single one saying Love Cats and then being like, you're going to have to listen to more
Even
Cure
Deftones.
lads. You can't all do Love Cats.
Even Deftones. We're
Yeah.
doing Love Cats.
Love Cats. Amazing. So yeah, I mean, I really liked this. It was a fun
Oh,
listen.
okay.
I don't think it's perfect, but
No.
like the production's really good as well. Actually, it doesn't.
Mm.
It does. It obviously is really well produced and massive, but it doesn't sound too like clinical or like over egged. I don't know. It's not too
It's not too
poppy.
polished. It's not too
Yeah,
polished. Yeah,
it's got
yeah.
a really
There's
cool
still.
sound to it. I don't know who did it actually. I forgot to look, but
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah, no, it definitely. It sounds. It's not so poppy that you're like, oh god, that's all like literally in a line. Do you know what I mean? There still
yeah,
sounds like a band. It's probably the odd song that doesn't hit like Crush for me, like, and are the ones where it sounds a bit more like a pop song. I think.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Crush, I'm not big. Crush sounds much more of its time than the rest of it. The rest of it is pretty
yeah.
standard pop punk or the big ballads, but Crush feels really
Mhm.
like early noughties rock, like
Yeah,
a lot
it
more
is
of that.
actually.
It's got
Yeah,
quite
no.
a random, got a really random producer. This. Sorry, I'm just
Who is
looking
it?
it up. This guy
Anyone
called
we know?
this English guy called Dave Bendeth. He's like 70.
When you do your solo album, can you just call it Ben Death?
100%. I'll get him to produce it.
Yeah.
They're
Ben
really
Death by Ben Death.
confusing. Yeah, interesting guy. But yes, this was a good listen. I was wrong back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
100%. I probably won't listen to it again, except for Misery Business, which I'll listen
Nice.
to semi-regularly because I love it. But
Nice.
yeah, it was really fun. I don't know. What was your relationship like with this album? Like you said, you liked it at the time.
No, I think I wasn't a million miles from you at the time. I remember just classic, like I was probably what 19 or something maybe. I
Yeah,
remember classic. Everyone just being like, because it's that classic thing of like there's obviously much more representation for men in pop punk than there is for women. So the second
Yeah.
there's a woman that's fairly attractive in pop punk, all the guys are like, oh, Hayley from Paramore. Like,
Yeah.
and so I think I was always like, oh, they're all right, she's all right, like kind of that kind of thing with it. But I think the first album I remember listening to, and then again, there's a couple of really good songs on there, like Emergencies, like quite good. It's very sort of pop punks, but that kind of pop punky rock kind of like, I don't know, you get like bands like Anne Boleyn and all of that kind of stuff. Like they kind of just merge into a bit rocky with pop punk, which is exactly what you were saying for this album, right? With some of the songs where they just get a bit like lost. And yeah, I remember thinking it was all right. And then I remember Riot coming out and everyone raving about it. And I remember listening to it, and I remember I really liked the same as you, like 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
That's not me talking about Crush, because that is what she says in it. But yeah, I remember really like loving Misery Business, and I don't think you could avoid Misery Business. It was like on the radio, like everything, like it was a Radio 1. I managed to avoid the whole fucking thing.
Good art.
And I think I saw them somewhere as well, and they weren't bad live. Actually, they were quite good.
Yeah, I can imagine
that time. I think they supported some. I think they supported Newfound Glory, or Newfound Glory supported them, which is I think is when her and Chad, like the guitarist of Newfound Glory, got together. Yeah, which immediately when she was like, "Oh, I love Newfound Glory, they're my heroes," I was like, that gives you a little bit, for me, because they're one of my favorite bands. I was like, it gives you a little bit more, a little bit more street cred for like when I was the same as you, thinking sheer like industry.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Like kind of thing.
Do you think there is any? I hadn't even thought of this because they were legit stories and rumors, but I'm thinking I was probably being well misogynistic as well. Like as a
that had just signed her
as a thick kid. Well, I was probably just thinking, how can a girl be legit in a? I wonder if I would.
Yeah.
I can't remember what I was thinking
at
that time.
I mean.
And I can't imagine I was actively thinking that, but I'm just thinking if there was a big part of that where I was like, there couldn't be a legitimate woman in a band. Like there must be some. She must be a pop plant or something.
A pop plant.
A pop plant, yeah. Which is fucking terrible. And
no, I agree with you. Like so these things just come through as like an undertone sometimes, don't they? At the time or whatever, as people always say, but not right, wrong, indifferent kind of thing. Like at the time. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I don't know whether that made it. If there'd been a guy singing, would it have been different?
Yeah, I hadn't even thought of that. I wonder if I would.
Don't know.
Although I always hated Busted, so maybe not.
Yeah, no, I probably. To be fair, I would have disliked them more.
Yeah.
Because oh my god, someone mentioned a band the other day, and I was like, oh my god, like I hated Busted, but I really liked Fightstar.
I couldn't. I just couldn't.
It was quite good. Some quite good songs.
Yeah, I'm sure that again I was wrong. None of this is me saying I was right.
I wanted to hate it.
Yeah.
And then I read an interview with him where he was like, "Look, someone offered me to be in a massive band, and
I would have done it."
And
same. Like, looking back, I'm like, of course I would have done it. Are you mental?
Fucking sign me up.
Yeah, I feel like I feel nothing but love for Busted and McFly now. But back then, it's so dumb, isn't it? Similar to I was watching that boy bands documentary on iPlayer. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's great, man. But even watching all of those bands, I was like, this is all great. Like I feel for them that they were mistreated. That's what it's all about. But I was like, God, I had so much hate in my heart for people like this. But
it wasn't the lads in the band. It wasn't the lads in the band. It was the Simon Cowles or whatever.
Yeah, that's obviously all
just
terrible.
Make this thing and take all the money from it. And like, do you know what I mean? And not worry about them or what happens to them after and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
just remember I was having hatred for anyone who's just wanting to do music or wanting to be famous, whatever your fucking reason is.
Yeah,
it's so dumb. I spent so much effort on it. Like, I'm annoyed about it. So much energy in my early 20s was just being a dick about bands.
It's mad how much hate you can have for something. Not hate, but like, do you know, hate's strong, but like dislike you can have for something for no reason. When, if someone offered me £500,000 to go and do a load of dancing and singing with a couple of lads that I got on with for like 4 or 5 years, and girls be screaming at you and be famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
100%.
Where's the pen, mate?
Yeah, exactly. And even back then I would have. It's not like it's
no, same.
It's like even in my elitist, like the worst of the worst time, I would have been like,
Hmm.
yeah, right, actually, yeah, my morals aren't that strong.
Yeah, you
Fucking
think you're
idiot.
better at the time, don't you? It's like, well, let's see
Anyway,
what happens when it's actually an option for you. Never got
this is
there.
not a podcast about how much of a twat I was.
We'll see.
Slightly that.
We'll see as it goes on. It's episode
Um,
11, Ben. There's plenty of time. It's been plenty of time. We've only gone there this time, so it's
Yeah.
fine.
I've always really liked the cover of this.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I like the fact
very
that it's
cool.
just a like cool, like black and white thing with Riot's quite.
Yeah,
Riot
standing out.
Yeah, Riot's kind of actually a bit generic as a title name. Actually, now I think
Yeah,
about
I quite like it though.
I think sometimes when bands that are quite, as we just sort of said, they're quite poppy, use a word like punk or whatever, and
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like, oh, the best thing I've ever seen to describe that was we saw a punk band once, or they supported us or something, and he had a sticker on his guitar that he'd written, and they were like, they thought they were Green Day, but like a bit crap Green Day, and he'd got "fuck authority" written on his guitar.
So generic.
But no, wait, it gets better, Ben. It said F * K authority. And
That's
I was like,
so
what
funny.
the fuck? Like, how is that like one fuck authority even just in its own just is like so cheesy. It's like saying riot, like we're so crazy. But yeah, fuck
You can
authority,
fuck
but the
authority.
fuck was starred out.
Yeah, but you don't have to be a potty mouth to fuck authority.
You do, Ben.
Actually.
Just write fuck on your guitar. Like
I will. I bloody will. Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, that's my favourite thing. But that's slightly with the riot. It's a bit like,
Yeah,
oh, we're mad.
I don't.
It's going to cause a riot.
It's solid. It's solid. I like it as a one word. The song title. We said we're not going to do song titles because they are just generic, and these are classic.
Yeah. They've got
Classic
a couple
generic.
of the kind of noodly ones where it's like, for a pessimist, I'm pretty optimistic. That's a good. I like
Yeah,
that.
that's
I don't
all right.
mind that. It's a bit
They've
emo,
got a
isn't
song
it?
called "Brick After Stupid Brick."
Brick after boring brick.
That's it.
That's
I've
a
had
good
that
song
stuck in my
title.
head for years, and I'm always sort of vaguely aware it's a Paramore song, and I always thought that was a
Album
really
after.
cool song title.
It is a cool song title.
But I don't think
Good
I've ever
song
heard the song.
actually. Good song. Go and listen to that. You'll
What
like
album's that one? Is the one after?
The
or
album
before?
after Brand New
Nah.
Eyes. Yeah, good. Good tune.
I liked her solo album as well. That's probably when I started to thaw long before then, but I remember the solo album coming out and being like, oh, I have no feelings about Paramore anymore, like negative or positive.
Their last two albums as well have had some really cool songs on, like cool
Oh,
poppy
really?
like songs. You like what is the name of that song? I'm gonna have to literally look whilst we talk on here.
Do
But
it.
there's a song you're gonna know this as well, I think, or maybe you're not. I don't know. This is weird.
That
like
solo album had a song called Simmer on it, which I absolutely
Hard
loved.
Times.
Such a banger.
Hard Times.
Yeah, I think I do know that.
You'd know that definitely.
Yeah.
And also Still Into You is just an absolute banger.
Was that on this?
No.
I know I just
then-
listened to it. I think I know that song so well that I genuinely thought it was on there for a
They're
second.
all on this album.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, I know that song really well.
Yeah. Good song.
Yeah, that's
tune.
a good song. Fair play, man. They've kind of merged seamlessly. I think they were sort of maybe No Doubt fans. I think the album.
Yeah,
cover
they've
was-
gone that way now, haven't they? They're
Yeah.
just a band as opposed to like a pop punk band. They're
Yeah.
like just like a band, but in that.
And it's
pop
really impressive
space.
to do that so seamlessly, like No Doubt did. I don't know if they got shit
Yeah.
back when that, I can't remember, but
They're kind of ska band before, weren't they?
yeah, like pretty legit, like ska punk.
Mm.
But yeah, I'm sure they got shit. I can't remember, but it felt like a pretty seamless transition, and that feels like what Paramore's done. It may be over a bit longer time, but it's like, oh yeah, just a good pop band.
Yeah.
Understandably, because you always wrote massive.
Because you wrote
choruses.
good songs. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, enjoyed.
What are you giving it out of 10? The crucial.
I would go. The artwork is going up.
Oh, yeah, we
Downstairs
did do
toilet.
artwork.
I think it's a bit immature for anywhere else,
Yeah, I'd put.
but I really like it.
I'd put him in the little ones in the room because it looks like she could have done it if I told her
Quite-
to write
yes.
Riot over and over again.
Yeah,
It's a bit
100%.
crayon.
I do like it, but yeah, it does look quite childish.
Mhm.
I'd give it I want to say 7 seems high. I'm going to go 6, but a high
Okay.
6. It just means
Stop.
nothing, does it? It means absolutely nothing. It's like when people say, "Oh, they'd go into my top three." It's like, well, you mean number three, then, don't you? Otherwise, you
Yeah,
say,
yeah. I was it'd be one,
yeah,
and no one's saying they're in my top two.
yeah, exactly. Oh, they're
Hmm.
definitely in the top 10. It's number 10. Number 10. Um, Genuinely a high six though. Like if it was the first four songs, I'm talking 7 or 8. But then,
Yeah.
yeah, loses me a little bit. But still really good, solid, good songwriting, well produced. Well done, everyone. Her voice is great.
Congratulations
Yeah,
on the Grammy.
yeah, she has got a
I'd give
great
it a
voice as well.
7, I think, as well. I think I'll go not 7 as well. 7, I'd give it, I think.
Yeah.
Just where I think also it was one of the few bands going back to our working in a record store days. It was one of the few bands. I don't think it had any swearing on this album.
Oh, that's
And so I
interesting.
used to be able to put it on at work at HMV. There was like this. There was like a block party album. There was like a few like good indie or kind of pop punky albums that had no swearing on, because there's
Yeah.
always like you put a lot, I don't know, Blink or whatever as an example, and just shout fuck in the middle of the song or whatever. And
Yeah,
you're like,
come on, man.
can't put that on. But yeah, I remember this being quite PC,
Yeah.
like in terms of like you could have it on. So I think I heard it a ton. So I think it would be a 7 just because I think it flashes me back to
Oh,
like those
nice.
days, going
That'd
to
be the
gigs and all that
Christians
kind
in
of stuff.
coming
Mhm.
out.
Yeah,
The
definitely. All
non-swearing.
over the place.
That was always a key, wasn't it? We both worked in record shops next to each other, weirdly.
So weird.
Yeah, so odd. But yeah, finding a good album that had no swears on it was beautiful. And I do
I used
remember
to
my
just
boss put
listen
on.
to so much indie. Like
Yeah, it
that's
was
why,
great.
because it would be like, yeah, you could put on Hot Heat or whatever, and there'd be nothing
Yeah, lovely.
bad on it. Yeah, bit of
I
Ace
remember my boss
whatever.
putting on the Purple Rain DVD because we were trying to sell that and it was on sale. And it was like a really busy Saturday. And I looked up at one point and it's just Prince like having sex with a naked woman. And he was like a big Prince fan, this guy. I was like, you must have known there
You
was a
know
sex
what
scene.
Prince does?
It's
Yeah,
on
yeah.
a Saturday packed. So I just glanced up like, Jesus. Whack
The
that
best.
out
Oh,
of
mate,
the
I used,
DVD
it used
player.
to happen quite a lot. But not sex scenes, but once or twice with albums, we had massive like fuck ups, literally.
Yeah.
Remember when Control came out, the Joy Division film, which you
Oh,
haven't
yeah.
seen, is a well worth a watch. The soundtrack to that was all just like Joy Division songs and New Order and like quite 80s like electronics kind of stuff.
Had other stuff on
Um,
it. It seems odd.
Yeah, like other bands of the time, I think that were kind of like in or around like them
Right.
as like the sound. It was a soundtrack to the film, not
Yeah.
Joy Division. So it was some Joy Division, and apparently John Cooper Clarke was like quite tight with them because they were from up that way or whatever. Which you know the poet, yeah, you know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
I mean. That's what they're that. But he's got a song that he just says every other word is fucking shit.
Oh, really?
It's like the fucking pubs are fucking shit, the fucking this is fucking that.
Oh, I
Like
know.
literally,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the song, and it goes like that for like 2 minutes, and it came on like a Sunday afternoon at like 2 o'clock. Everyone's walking around their coffees, having a like look at the bloody Disney DVDs, and it just came on full whack. And me and my boss just looking at each other like, "What do we do?" And I was laughing because I was just like, "This is just like it's happened now. It's been on for 30 seconds,
Yeah.
like before I even noticed." The most swearing in any song ever.
That's amazing. Not
Great.
even a song like spoken words. He can hear everyone.
And yeah, literally, it's just got a little like little metronome in the background. That's it.
Yeah. Super.
Love John Cooper Clarke though. If people haven't listened, there's a completely not niche one. We had a poem of his read at our wedding. There you go.
Oh, did you have the?
Teddy bear one.
Yeah, I don't
Can't
know
remember what
that's
it's
the one I
called.
was thinking of.
Love
Weirdly,
you like my teddy bear, but yeah,
oh, it's lovely.
quite good. Sounds a bit
Bit of
sappy,
John
but
Cooper. No, I might have had something like that. I can't remember. Anyway,
this is very different to John Cooper Clarke in what I listen to, Ben.
oh yeah, tell us about it. Wait, how does this work? I forgot now the format works. Do I tell you what you
You
listen
meant
to?
to
or you
ask
tell
me, but we've go on. I can. I mean,
What
we
did
know
you
what we're
listen
doing.
to, Daddy? What did I give
We know
you?
what we're doing these days. You gave me. I didn't even know what the album was called until right this second because I've just pressed play on it after you told me to listen to it.
What is it?
The band is called the Barbarians of California. Which
What a name!
what a great name! Like you told me at first, and I was like, "Sounds weird." Like just as such an odd name for a band.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite put my finger on it exactly what are they going to sound like, first of all.
Yeah, it's quite hard to judge from that, isn't it?
I figured they might be a bit heavy because you said I think they're like it was good and a bit heavy. And I was like, okay, cool. Barbarian makes it sound like it's going to be heavy. But yeah, great name for a band. And Ben, yes.
Yeah.
Ben, just fucking yes.
I'm so
I wrote
glad because
down.
I
I
genuinely
wrote,
wasn't sure. I said to you last week, like,
mate.
I
How could you
love
not be
this,
sure,
and I wasn't sure if it was actually any good. Like, it just
mate?
scratched
It's
such an itch
fucking
for me,
great.
and it
It is
scratched like the.
so good. Every
It's
time I
great,
die
isn't it?
itch.
Oh, I'm glad
That's
you
what it
said that.
scratched for me. It scratched my every time I die itch.
I'll tell you what it
Big
is. So it
time.
scratched my every time I die itch, but it is also a bit new metal, and I think that's why I was
Yeah.
like, is this good, or has it gone a bit System of a Down? Who are great, by the way, but it's not necessarily our main ting.
No, it had flashes of new metal. It had
Yeah.
flashes of other stuff as well. Like it was like there's little flashes in it that reminded me a bit of Queens of the Stone Age in places.
Yes,
There's a bit of like
100%.
hard rocky kind of riff type things in there. Mastodon in
Yeah.
places a little bit like that
Yeah.
kind of
It's the rides, isn't it?
proggy, the proggy kind of. I don't know how to like. It kind of sounds like he's fucking playing the guitar, like doing that. It's got like I don't know how to describe it. It's just got some aggression about it. But yeah, Mastodon, Every Time I Die, 68, Queens of the Stone Age, Norma Jean. I wrote down loads of bands where I was just like, all right, it's got like the perfect mix of all these bands that I like. Yeah, this is the album I've been dreaming of.
Yes.
I'll be
Was
honest,
it?
really honest. Like I've listened to this, Ben, at least 10 times this week.
Oh, that's amazing. I got obsessed with it. There's something about it.
I am fucking obsessed. Like to the
Yes.
point where I just sent you earlier in the week a voice note.
Yeah.
There's a bit where he whistles in a random bit before a drop in Walrus.
Yeah.
I just sent you that as a voice note. That's all I've said to you about this album all week.
Incredible. I mean, that and a video of your daughter dancing to it.
Yeah, for a 2-year-old, I put this on and she was going into full like
So I
what
figured.
do they call it? Expressive dance or whatever
Yeah,
it was, like
it
doing
was
all this stuff like around the
adorable.
kitchen. Yeah,
You need
mate.
to send it to the band.
Yeah, oh, they'd love that. That's the next video sorted.
Oh, I'm so glad you like it, man. It's great, isn't it?
Oh, it's just so good. Every song's. Sometimes with heavy albums, you're like, yeah, cool, it's another one like that. Like every song's got, like you said about like new metal or like those bands I just listed. Every song's got a bit more flash of one of the other bands in it.
Yeah, they're really different, aren't they?
Which is, I don't mean in that they've copied other bands. I just mean in that it's like a slightly different take on hardcore. This one's a bit more punky, and this one's a bit more like breakdowny, and this one's a bit more just straight rock. Like there's some like really nice. Sometimes a heavy album's just a heavy album. Like it's rare. Some bands do heavy albums or are heavy, and all they do is rely on breakdowns.
Yeah.
Whereas this, which is always to me what makes bands like Every Time I Die such fucking unicorns, because they've got amazing breakdowns, but they have amazing riffs, lyrics, drum bits, and everything else outside it. They could not do a breakdown a whole song, and it would still be a fucking great hardcore song, or like metal song, whatever you want to call this. I don't know. I get lost with like what actually everything's called, but like just heavy shit.
Yeah.
Like just good heaviness. Like
Gym
and
stuff.
some bands, yeah, which is why I like bands when like I remember like when Knock Loose came out. Although there's loads of breakdowns, there's some really fucking good like thrashy riffs and stuff like that as well. It's not just like, oh, we're heavy because we've got good breakdowns. Like sometimes I feel like that's what bands are just like trying to look for the muckiest breakdown, and we all love a mucky breakdown.
Which I love. I mean, yeah, it's
Which
mainly
I mean, we've all got time for. But sometimes it just means that going back to the kind of thing we said with Paramore, it's just like it's just a rock song with a breakdown in it, and it's like the breakdown's good, but it can't carry the whole song sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it just tends to me like a whole album might be a bit of a struggle sometimes. Like not always, but if that's your thing. Maybe
100%.
an album's going to be a bit much. Whereas this, all the songs are really different, but they all sound like the same band. Like it's just interesting and varied, I think.
Yeah, like I said, I listened to this 10 times, multiple different scenarios as well. I gymmed this one twice, making dinner. Yeah, like I said, my 3-year-old dancing to it. But yeah, I've sent it to 3 other people to listen to this week as well.
Superb.
Which I've probably ruined the podcast for them because they are 3 of the 6 people that listen to this on the weekly. But I sent it to them in advance because it was just that good that I was like, people need to fucking listen to this.
Oh, this is the best reaction yet.
And it just starts so good. The can I borrow $1 billion bucks?
Yeah.
Can I borrow? Oh my god, they've got so many cool lyric bits like that as well, like the whistle bit, the bit in Walrus. Like there's so many cool little bits, like hooks that aren't hooks, like the clever little musical bits. So yeah, I listened to it a fucking ton,
Amazing.
and absolutely loved
Oh,
it.
it's so fun,
And
isn't it?
made my other half listen to it. Made my 3-year-old listen to it, who both loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yeah, even things like the in Walrus, they're like cool guy,
Oh
you're a
yeah.
cool guy. Like there's some quite clever little kind of, that's almost like a bit of a cheerleadery kind of chant kind of
Yeah.
like thing in there. It's just some really cool stuff in there.
Oh
Really
yeah.
cool little bits
There's
that
like
make
jokes
the
in
songs
there.
cool. Yeah,
It's
like
really funny. Like, yeah,
yeah. Oh, it's fun. It's
it
also
is
like
really fun.
fun without not being hardcore and punk.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where are the punks? Whatever that song's
Oh
called.
yeah.
Like yeah,
So that's the
like
first one I heard actually.
oh, is it?
And
I looked at all the songs they released as singles, and I was like, to me, they were the like, not that there's bad songs on this album, but they were like, I was like, oh, why didn't you release Walrus
I know what you mean. Do you know what
and
recently? It was
Library?
quite
I was like,
not a relief, but recently it feels like bands release like the best songs and they'll release like 5 songs from an album. So by the
hmm,
time the album comes out, it's like, oh, there's just like 4 more songs on it that aren't that interesting. It's just a
yeah,
bit frustrating. Whereas this was one of the first ones where, yeah, I think I'd heard 4, but yeah, I think you're right. They wouldn't be up there with my favourites
nah.
as
I was
much as
like,
they're all good.
I think Library, Walrus. I like Where Are the Punks. I think they released that, but I like By the Time I Get to Mexico. I mean, I liked all of them.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the
but
riff
yeah,
at the end of No Sir, I Won't Wear Your Jacket is my favourite thing I've heard on a rock album for ages. That riff is so heated and made me
yeah,
so happy. It's ridiculous.
they definitely was a massive, like the last two Every Time I Die albums.
Yeah.
If you liked those, and I mean, I've liked everything really. Every Time I Die I've done, but like, and I've liked their evolution. But if you like those two albums, this is it. Like
Yeah.
this is just that album. That's just carried on. This may as well be Every Time I Die in places. Like
Yeah.
in the best, in the most complimentary way possible.
Yeah, it's like
Also,
a sillier version.
yeah, you said
A
to
more
me,
System of a
Ben.
Downy version.
Yeah, like new metal ad's fun.
Yeah, it definitely does.
That's what it is.
They
Yeah,
use
yeah.
it really well, I think. But yeah,
Like Limp Bizkit are fun.
yeah, my brother sent me the video for Where Are the Punks? It's like the start of this year. So I think they only formed like this year. This album came out this
Okay.
year. And it was one of those where it's like a performance video. And I don't know loads about music, but I'm like, well, these guys are like older. So I feel like there's got to be a story there. Bands don't just come out and release their first album when they're probably in their 40s. And I say older, like my age. Do you know what I mean? There must be
Yeah.
story. So I Googled them and there's nothing on them really. I don't have a wiki. But I noticed on AWOL Nation's Instagram page, they'd shared it. And I was like, this is the dude from AWOL Nation. Who, I don't most people, everyone will know AWOL Nation's big song, even if you don't think you do. Like they released a song called Sail about 10 years ago, which is just one of the biggest songs of the year and is a fucking banger. And is on
Everyone
like
knows that
every
song.
advert.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
such a good song. That
Yeah.
is like a pop song, like a dancey pop song.
Yeah, like it's got so many. It's dance music,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I'd say, or
basically.
like yeah. But like to your point, yeah, I think that was on about 15 adverts.
Oh
Probably
my
still
God,
is on
yeah.
an advert right now.
They like
But
cleaned up on
is a
that.
good song. Is a good song.
Oh
Definitely.
yeah, but I sort of should have
I
guessed.
only
So I
looked
in-
before this. I
Oh,
only
sorry.
literally looked 10. I only looked 10 minutes ago because you said to me
Oh
when you
yeah,
recommended this last week, oh, it's from someone you wouldn't expect. And I was thinking, I don't know. I was thinking it's just like someone from like a pop punk band or something
Yeah.
like that that's suddenly now done like a heavier album with a load of mates or something. And I was like, oh, that's fun. And then yeah, I looked and it was AWOL Nation. I was like, why do I know AWOL Nation? And I was like, are they a metal band that I didn't really know before? And like I was like, because I recognised the name. And then I literally put it into Spotify and Sale came on, and I was like, and then I had to go and check his face
Yeah.
with the band picture, and I was like, it is fucking them.
It's
I was
mad,
like,
isn't
or
it?
him.
Yeah.
Like I was like, how's this come from him? I mean, obviously he was very musically talented. That's a really good song, and they've released loads of other stuff that's got millions, like
Yeah.
in double-digit millions plays on Spotify. So they obviously did all right, like as a group or him or whatever it was. But yeah, to come out then with an absolute fucking 10 out of 10, like well, I'm not scoring it yet. I'm just saying, but like a banger album, like
It
as a
seems
hardcore
mad,
band.
doesn't it? But actually, like digging into it more, because I really liked AWOL Nation. I actually listened to some of their other stuff, and I should have known. Because even Sale, his voice is really aggressive for like a pop song. On Sale, it's like almost screamy. You just, I think, because it's a big old dance banger, you sort of don't notice, but it's a great like
Yep.
rock vocal. But
Yeah,
then looking
true.
into him more, it turns out he was in like a straight edge band called Insurgents before AWOL Nation. Like hardcore's always been his
Ah.
thing. And you just look at like the guests on this album, and he said he wanted guests apparently, and they're so, I say legit too much, and it's so shit, but they are.
It's a
They've got
Snapcase
like
and shit,
Daryl
innit?
from Snapcase. They've got fucking what's his name? Rick Rodney from Strife is on I
Don't
Won't
even
Wear
know
Your
Strife
Jacket.
are.
And they're like
Okay.
proper old school hardcore.
Oh,
And his
nice.
voice at the end of that is so good. It's like the most pure hardcore voice. He's like the other guy singing the "Burn Me, I'm a Witch" bit in that
Oh,
riff.
okay, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's
Oh,
such
okay.
a good
I
voice.
thought it was like the other. I thought it was a guitarist or something.
Yeah, no,
I
it's the
didn't
dude
look.
from Strife. So
Do you know
it's like,
what?
oh, shit,
I've not even looked at like. I know we used to talk about song titles. I only know Walrus because I think I played it about 4 or 5 times in a row because it was that good. But yeah, I didn't even look. I've just fucking played it and loved
I
it.
love
Like
that.
but I just pressed play and I'm like, this is gonna hit. I know it's gonna hit. Like,
Yeah, I loved it, man. I've almost burnt myself out on it, which I do on albums sometimes when I really like
Yeah.
them. I've not been able to listen to that Turnstile album for a while because I'm like, I've overdone it, and I may have done it on this one. So I've had a little break.
yeah. Have a
I mean,
little break.
yeah, I know we said we weren't really doing song titles anymore, but there's some bangers on here. It's got to be said.
There
Most
are.
I Won't Wear Your Jacket. Don't know what that means. Yeah, Where Are the Punks? By the time I got to get to Mexico, which is a fun fucking song, that
Yeah, it is.
Mr. Microphone
Really,
as well.
really
but
good.
it's just bangers, isn't it?
It's good. It's like weird song titles, Walrus. Like,
Yeah.
it just some of it got no context or like connection to anything in it. Well, most of them do actually. To be fair,
Yeah. I think
yeah.
the best album cover we've had. I'll say it.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
I
I
think
feel
it's
like it's a
wicked.
print. I feel like it's a cool print. And now I'm just gnashing my teeth as well. I
Good
didn't
title.
know until I opened this literally now in front of like us, me and you on here, what the name of the album was.
Yeah, I don't think I
Like that's
paid
how
attention,
much
really.
I almost haven't cared, like because it was good.
That's
Does
great,
that
isn't
make
it?
sense?
Yeah,
Like
I
this
normally
could be
do.
a picture of your ass as the cover, and could be called Ben's Ass, the album. I'd still think it's fucking
It's
great.
fucking slap.
Like it just shows that if the music's good enough, like all of that shit bollocks around it doesn't really matter. And like
100%.
yeah,
But yeah, I'd have
but
this
it's
up
cool. It's
anywhere.
cool. Yeah,
I think
I'd
it's
have this
great.
up anywhere as well. Yeah, no, it's cool.
30
I like
minutes as well, in and out.
the Barbarians of California, like the font and stuff's really cool on the
Yeah.
album. I don't know what you'd call that. It looks very surfy.
It's great, isn't it? Great
Yeah,
name.
it's nice, man.
Only
Sick.
came out start of October this year. It's a proper newie, this one.
Freshy.
And I've already overdone it.
It's fucking great though. I think
Superb.
yeah, this is like an out of the park recommendation.
I'm so glad.
I said I wasn't going to rate it. I said 10 out of 10 earlier, and then I was like, I'm not rating it now. I was going to give it a 9, and now I'm just thinking about I'm going to give it a 10.
Whoa.
I
That's the
can't
first away 10. It's an away 10.
I can't fault it at all.
Yeah.
Like, I can't tell you a bad song on it. I can't tell you a riff I didn't like. Now, the more I keep hearing about you talking about them, and the more I've like Googled them in the last literally like hour, I've just been like, this is fucking cool that he did
They are
like, this
cool.
massive pop thing, and then now has come and got these cool people together and done this
Yeah.
absolutely out of nowhere, like you said, amazing hardcore album. So I think I will listen to this again and again and again. To your point, maybe they won't burn it out now, but this will go back on.
Yeah.
And I already Googled to see if they were playing a gig. Like
They're proper tiny, man, considering the
Yeah.
sort of background they have. I think, well, I say tiny, they did like one gig at like Whiskey a Go Go, one of the big venues or famous venues in America. It seems like that's it. I don't know if hopefully they will do more, but
yeah, I know that'd be sick.
they didn't do much around the release or anything. So it's like a proper side project, I think.
It's got no crossover though, has it? Like with AWOL Nation fans.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Because
It's got
it was so dancey, or not dancey,
yeah, exactly.
but like
It's
poppy.
more like, I
kind
don't know
of
if
thing.
there is. Are there AWOL Nation fans?
I just think it was just a big pop song, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's not a dig at AWOL Nation. Like I say, their
Nah.
other stuff is really cool as well. He's a great
okay.
songwriter. Yeah,
Is it all like that?
One of their fans.
Is it all like that? Not dance, whatever you want to
Do you
call
know
it.
what?
It's
A
all
lot
just big pop
again.
songs.
This is what I should have guessed. There is some of it that is a lot more like dancey punk, like
Okay.
and a bit more rocky. And there's riffs, and it's like Cash really should have worked this out. To be
Well,
honest.
it's still
He's
quite hard to
clearly a
put 2 and 2 together, there, mate.
Yeah, like
It's a stretch. It's a stretch from Sail to Walrus.
Yes, exactly.
Quite over here.
Yeah.
It's not quite the starting line and what did we have? The starting line
Oh yeah,
and
chat pile.
a chat pile mixed together. It's not far off though.
No, to be fair, I did read
Sunshine and death.
he wrote a lot. He wrote a lot of this for AWOL Nation. It just kept. He just realised it would be ridiculous. So he was like, I can't. I don't know how true that is because Eric
That's
from
great.
Senses Fail is in him as well, and I think he wrote
Okay.
quite a lot of it. So I don't know if that's true.
That makes
I like
sense
the idea
now.
that he wrote some of these and was like, "Yeah, I'll just pop them on an AWOL Nation album." It's like, come on, man.
That makes sense. Is he in Senses Fail now?
I think so. Yeah, if they're still going, I didn't see, but
yeah, because they went really heavy.
Yeah, they did, didn't they?
And that makes sense now as to him being in this and the riffs being good.
Yeah.
Because they changed it. They almost like, I think they swapped like half the band.
Really?
And then went really heavy, and it was like a bit out of nowhere because they were kind of like a rock kind of emo rock band. Yeah.
But yeah, I think the other guys are just AWOL Nation members. They're not like a super group or anything, but it's fun, man. I'm hoping they'll do some gigs. I need to rate it. This is going to be the first time that the away album gets more from the away player. What am I trying to say?
The away player. What are you going to give it?
I can't give it a 10. I know what you mean, but I think it's got to be a 9 for me. But why? Why is it a 9? I don't think it's... I don't know. Yeah, I think it's a 9. 10's big, innit? The biggest. So a big 9. I love it. You're right, it's good for most situations.
All situations.
As long as they're uplifting situations. It's really fun, man.
Fair.
Just listen to it for the riff at the end of No Sir, I Won't Wear Your Jacket. That's all you need.
Listen to it for all the riffs.
It's fucking fun.
For all the riffs, Ben. It has all the riffs. All the riffs you will ever need.
Superb. Thank you, Barbarians of California.
Yeah, I agree.
We appreciate you.
That's probably our highest score, I think, combined. 19.
Yeah,
that is actually.
Surely.
Rightly, I think. Yeah. Ben, let's jump. Let's just jump really quick.
Okay.
We missed it the other week, last week or week before. Download, what number's that? 22?
Yeah, boy.
Lineup.
They've gone with the Roman numerals, and I never know what that means.
Yeah, I know. It's getting very close towards looking like a porn thing. Green Day, Sleep Token, and Korn as headliners.
Big man.
I've not listened to Sleep Token.
So I really like, I don't know if you saw the interview the Download organizer did about Sleep Token.
Okay.
And I loved what he was saying about it. Because there was a bit of pushback, and it's mainly that thing where it's like loads of people who are a bit out of the loop with music. Yeah. Are like, well, I haven't heard of them, so they can't be that big. It's like, come on, man. Maybe your finger just isn't on the pulse that much. Like, why would you assume you're right? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was basically saying,
massive as well.
Yeah. Like, and I listened to him a bit and quite liked what I've heard, but I know they're big. Like, they're doing a stadium tour soon.
Yeah.
But the promoter was basically saying, but if you don't like just take a risk on bands and make them headliners, like you can't always wait for bands to be big enough to headline.
Every year.
Like they can't. So it was like, I think they're big enough to make the jump up. They might not be popular enough in people's minds, but after this show, like these are the gigs that can break bands like that. In a good way.
Yeah.
And I love that.
They're good enough to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It was like they put on a big enough show. They're good enough. They are big enough, technically, even if they haven't got like the name recognition of a Greendale Korn. So I love that attitude of just being like, well, there's not as many headliners coming through. You know, that is a famous issue with the festival scene. So we just kind of have to make them. Like if they
could have given it to Bullet, Bullet for My Valentine, who are like probably supporting Korn or Sleep Token technically on whatever day that is. I would have thought they'll put Weezer under Green Day. It would make sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Bit more aligned, isn't it? That's a good day actually. Weezer and Green Day. Yeah, Jimmy Eat World are on that day. That's a right old pop punk day.
I really like that attitude. Like, and he was saying the same for Spirit Box. He was like, I can totally see them making the jump up. But he was just making the point that you sort of have to take a risk on these bands first. Like, if you want them to become like festival headliners, just make them festival headliners. Like,
like the other two they've got are like
they're big enough.
Korn's like. That's just everyone was happy about Korn headlining Download. No one's going to moan about that. Like I said, they could have picked Bullet for My Valentine. Everyone probably would have been happy about that. Apart from like the Metallica kind of crowd, I guess. But Green Day, I would have thought again, it's probably gone down really well with like.
That's
I would have
fucking
thought,
massive, isn't it?
yeah, it's huge. That's good. Like even just Green Day and Corn would have been like
Yeah,
like pretty
huge.
solid. I think. Like I think the ones underneath though, like pretty, I'm looking at it. I think that's a lot of it's just solid bands in there,
It's
like
good, isn't it?
Weezer, Bullet for My Valentine, Jimmy Eat World, Don Broco, Within Temptation. I don't like Within Temptation or The
That's big.
Darkness or Meshuggah.
Sex
But
Pistol.
even just reading the names, like Cradle of Filth, like, are these all big bands that I've heard of? Sixth, I think Sixth's pretty cool that they're playing. Are
It's
they back?
surprising that is it surprising they're on the second rung. For
Who
the record,
Sixth?
I love
Yeah,
Six and loved them
yeah,
back in the
same.
day. Loved what they did. And just size wise, I was surprised they're on the second rung. I'm very
I think
happy
they're
for them.
just being appreciated more these
Yeah,
days.
maybe. I hope so. They're fucking great.
Yeah. I think they
McFly,
were
that's
always
what
like
I'd
really
like.
well respected. Yeah, McFly's going to be fun, isn't it?
I'm
Like,
glad, as I've moved on, I'm glad, I think metal fans have moved on a bit and are a bit more open-minded and will just have fun with that.
yeah,
I don't
I
think
think
they won't get
I
covered
think
in piss or anything.
no, I think a lot as a lot as well. Like, I've done this as well. Like, I used to be really, a bit like maybe like you'd say a bit elitist about a McFly or Busted and stuff like that. But now I realise that they act as such a massive gateway
Exactly,
for
man.
people to be like, oh, I like Busted, and then be like, oh, I'm going to check out, I don't know, whatever, Sum 41 or whatever, and
Yeah,
then you end up getting your mind open to these different bands, and
exactly. So
they're
imagine
your
being
kind of
annoyed about
entry
that.
drug. Yeah, exactly.
Because I
And I
would,
think,
what's that?
and then
No, we can't go back there.
there's some good bands on that. There's an awkward one if they're on the same day of Alien Ant Farm and CKY after what happened the other day.
You never told me about this.
Did you know? Oh, you need to
I
get
still haven't
on.
read about it. What's going on?
So basically, like Alien Ant Farm and CKY were co-headlining a tour,
Yes.
and apparently from Alien Ant Farm singer this came from on his Instagram, like they kicked CKY off the tour because like the singer of CKY apparently was just a knob and was treating everyone like a dick. The
Ah,
CKY singer's come out and said that wasn't really the case, and that well, he came out and said that basically he punched the Alien Ant Farm singer in the face
okay, that's not
after like a
ideal.
heated exchange before one of the gigs or something like that. And then he's come out and said that basically the Alien Ant Farm singer was getting all up in his face and he felt threatened, so he punched him. But I don't know, no one else has come out in support of the singer from CKY, and they just kind of got kicked off, and that was it. So
Oh,
I'm leaning towards that might have been what went down, but obviously you never get the
yeah, my
full
gut
ins
reaction.
and outs of it.
We obviously know nothing, but my gut reaction based on the small things I know about those bands is the
Mhm.
CKY singer was being a dickhead.
Yeah, I think so as well.
But
That'd
we
be
know
my
nothing.
guess. But yeah, exactly. Like
Like,
when I heard that story from the Alien Ant Farm singer, I was like,
heard it
yeah,
from him.
that 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 sounds believable.
Yeah, yeah, I buy
So
that.
you're same as you. Yeah, no, I'm going along with
They were
that.
friends with Jackass, mate. Of course they're dickheads.
It's Bam Margera's brother plays drums.
Oh, does he?
That's why they were like in all of that
They're
thing.
going to
They
be
play,
like,
yeah.
ooh. They're
So
going to be
they
a
are going to be
nightmare,
a
aren't
bit
they?
rowdy. Yeah, no, I can
Um,
imagine.
Just trying to read one of the stack of Sticks bands from
Oh,
down
there's
there.
Cradle of Filth. Next to Cradle of Filth is Lorna
Lorna
Shore.
Shore. Lorna, what are they called?
Lorna Shore.
They're one of those bands who I know are big, but I've got nothing.
They
I've got
are
nothing.
so tech
They're
hardcore
proper like
metal.
deathcore.
Yeah, but like techie with the most double bass you could ever hear in a bar of music. Like,
Yeah.
you know, when it just sounds
Yeah.
like that kind of like fart breakdown.
Amazing.
Very talented to play that shit. And their drummer, I follow on YouTube because he's fucking insane
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch.
You'd
Like
have to be.
confusing to listen to. You know when you can't nod, you wouldn't mind it because it's very maffy.
Yeah. Oh, that's where
But you know when
Maffy
you
loses
can't
me
nod
on.
along and you're like trying to find the beat, and it's in 4-3-6-2, like some sort of England formation in terms of like the actual pattern, and you're like, I can't follow this. Like that's Lorna
Yeah.
Shore, and everything's
Is there a singer?
that kind
Is
of
he
stuff.
some sort of like influencer or something? If I
Oh,
imagine
is it?
that, I'm sure there's a guy who's like not influencer's unfair. I think he does like really cool like vocal
Like YouTube guy or
videos
something.
and stuff.
Oh,
but they're
okay. Oh,
massive.
okay. Yeah.
I think it's
Oh,
him. I could be
maybe
wrong.
the drummer does like massive YouTube videos as well, so maybe they've just got all of that going for them. Fair play. If that gets your bam fucking going.
Yeah, I've got
Fair.
no beef with that boy.
Yeah, do what you got to do, mate.
Yeah, then I don't recognise any of the small bands because
Yeah.
my finger is not on the pulse. Actually, that's not true. Svalbard are really good. Team Mortgage are good. Spiritual Cramp are great, man.
Trophy Eyes are playing, who I love.
Oh yeah, The Scratch, they're good.
Yeah, there's some alright
I know
bands
more
on
than
that
I thought.
list. Loathe.
I've never been. I feel bad, but I've never been.
No, me neither. Do you know,
Too
festivals
far.
annoy me because they're dirty mud fests, and Download always looks like an absolute mud bath
Yeah,
because it's early, and June's never as good as you think it's going to be. Is it
exactly,
June?
man.
Is it?
Give
I
me,
think it's
give me
June.
2,000 trees.
Yeah, dry,
School.
normally too hot. Yeah,
Good
yeah,
food.
exactly.
Yeah, I can't really be bothered now.
Ben, what have you got? We'll jump. I'm just going to keep it rolling. What have you got for me this week?
I'm going to give you. I've got a lovely list. I'm going to go for. What have we had recently? We've had some emo. We've had some heavy. I'm going to go a bit indie.
Oh yeah,
Have you ever listened to the Beths?
BETH.
As in the band, the name, yeah, the women's name.
No.
Let's go for the Beths. They're one of my favourite bands of the last few years, I would say.
Oh, go on.
Let's go. Oh, they've got loads of good albums. I reckon Jump Rope Gazers. Jump Rope Gazers is superb.
Jump rope. Okay. All right.
Done.
For you,
Hit me.
I've got two. You can have two options. One's just a bit more rock,
Yeah.
and then the other one is a bit more emo-y punk.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, let's go emo-y punk. Actually, reading them. I'll go because you had Paramore this week. Let's not go too rocky, whatever.
Yeah.
You may have heard this as well. So, have you heard? I don't know how you actually say their name, so I might say it wrong. But this album, I was obsessed with and do listen to still quite a bit. Iron Chic or Iron Chick. I'm not sure how you say it.
Yeah. Have I? Well, the fact I'm having to think about it. Let's go with it.
Listen, because you might have heard a song or two.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of those. Sorry, my phone just fell down.
Yes, right.
Where I've heard a song and got obsessed with a song. So let's do it.
The album is Iron Chic. I'm guessing it's Chic, not Iron Chic.
Yeah, I think it's Chic. I think that's how
it
would
would have a K, wouldn't it? Iron Chic. The album's called The Constant One, as in the number one. Give that a spin.
Done. I'm excited. I think I like them, but yeah, I don't know them that well. So that's a good shout.
I think you'll enjoy that.
Lovely. Cheers, mate.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pledge. Big 10.
As per, make
Big
sure.
away 10.
Also, just shout out at the end. If you made it all the way to the end of the podcast, massively appreciate it. If you can, just press the like button on YouTube. That would be lovely. And yeah, what is wrong with you? If you press the like button, say you survived the whole podcast on YouTube. We'd appreciate it.